Football has always promised to bring the world together. Every 4 years, billions of people set aside borders, politics and differences to celebrate a game that speaks every language. Inside the stadium, strangers embrace after a goal. Children wear shirts of players from countries they have never visited. For a few precious moments, football reminds us what humanity looks like at its very best. But when the final whistle blows, another reality often returns. Despite years of campaigns, tougher sanctions, powerful messages declaring that racism has no place in sport, the abuse has not disappeared. It has simply found new ways to make itself heard. During this year's FIFA World Cup, fresh allegations of racist abuse have once again cast a shadow over the tournament. Players, supporters and public figures have found themselves targeted, while governing bodies continue to investigate incidences and remove hateful content. The message from football's authorities is stronger than ever. The behaviour is unacceptable, yet the behaviour continues. That raises a question that stretches far beyond football itself. If racism is still finding a voice in one of the world's most visible sporting events, what does it tell us about the societies watching from home? Football has never created racism, it reflects it. The stadium becomes a mirror, revealing prejudices that already exist well beyond its walls. The chants, the insults, the online abuse, the anonymous comments are not born inside 90 minutes of football. They are carried into the game by people who return afterwards to workplaces, schools, neighbourhoods and social media platforms. For those experiencing the abuse, the damage extends well beyond the final score. Imagine training your entire life to represent your country, only to discover that for some people, the colour of your skin matters more than your talent. Imagine explaining to your children why strangers have attacked you simply because of who you are. Imagine carrying not only the pressure of competition, but the knowledge that one mistake on the field may unleash a torrent of hatred off it. The challenge facing football is therefore much larger than protecting players. It is about deciding what kind of behaviour society is willing to tolerate. Governing bodies have strengthened rules. Stadium announcements have become more forceful. Matches can now be paused or abandoned. Social media companies are under increasing pressure to remove abusive content. These are important steps. But laws and punishment alone cannot change hearts. Real progress begins much earlier, in classrooms, around family dinner tables, and in everyday conversations where prejudice is challenged rather than ignored. Football remains one of the world's greatest stages, but it is also one of its clearest mirrors. And until racism becomes unacceptable, not only inside stadiums, but everywhere beyond them, the game will continue to remind us that the battle is not just for football's future, it is for our own.
The fight against racism in football has become increasingly visible. FIFA, national associations and professional leagues have introduced tougher disciplinary rules, greater monitoring of social media, anti-discrimination campaigns and stronger reporting mechanisms. These efforts have helped identify and remove abusive content while making it easier for players and officials to report incidents. Yet enforcement alone cannot eliminate prejudice. Experts who study discrimination have long argued that racism reflects broader social attitudes rather than isolated behaviour inside sporting venues. Football attracts enormous audiences and intense emotions, making it one of the most visible places where those attitudes emerge. A racist incident during a World Cup match attracts global attention, but similar prejudice often affects people every day in workplaces, schools, public transport and online spaces without attracting headlines. The rise of social media has added another dimension. Anonymity can embolden individuals to express views they might never voice face to face. While technology now removes far more abusive content than in previous tournaments, the sheer volume of hateful messages demonstrates that the problem remains significant. That is why many campaigners argue success should not be measured simply by the number of bans or investigations. It should be measured by whether fewer people feel entitled to express racist views in the first place. Football can lead the conversation, but lasting change ultimately depends on the values society teaches long before anyone walks into a stadium.
The battle against racism is unlikely to be won by a single campaign or a single tournament. It requires constant action from sporting bodies, governments, schools, social media platforms and communities all working together. Football has the power to inspire billions, but it also carries the responsibility to confront prejudice wherever it appears. The hope is that future generations remember the World Cup not for the abuse directed at its players, but for the courage of those who refuse to stay silent and the determination of societies that chose inclusion over hatred.